Hello and welcome. My name is Mike Hammond.
I'm Sarah Walsh.
And this is Retails, a podcast all about retail restaurants and working horrible customer service jobs.
We would like to thank Right Good Studios for making us sound right good, and Arts NL providing funding.
How? This episode contains language and or content that is intended for very tired adults. Viewer discretion is advised. And now, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Welcome to Retails. My name's Mike Hammond.
My name's Sarah Walsh.
And today we are talking about gender in the workplace in customer service. Today's guest is Kate Stenson.
Woo!
Kate, welcome to the studio. Hi. Kate is a stage manager and works in production management. She's a prop master. She works in art department for TV and film, and she has a master's in material and visual cultures of the past. Kate has also worked in book retail, tech retail, tea retail, food service, hospitality, and video rentals. Kate, what's it like working in tech retail as a woman?
I think that any woman out there who has ever had to sell an iPad knows exactly what it is to have a middle-aged man walk into your department, look you up and down the full scroll, and then say, "Is there anyone else who can help me?"
Oh.
Yeah. My favorite being working in, I've worked in tech in a few different locations, one of which was in a large nationally renowned bookstore. In this particular location, the tech department was crushed, I guess, right between mystery and general fiction. And one of these days, a gentleman came in, he told me what he was looking for and asked if there was somebody who could help me, to which I responded, "Well, I can. What are you looking for specifically? What are your needs?" And he looks past me and around me and over my shoulder. And he goes, "Well, is there anyone else?" And I was like, "Nope, just me today. What can I do for you?" And he spots one of my coworkers in the fiction section, who, by the way, has no tech training, has never turned an iPad on in his life, and still uses a flip phone, and goes, "Hey, come here." And my coworker looks at me, looks at the guy, looks at me, looks at the guy, walks over, goes, "Yes, sir." And he goes, "Great, I'd like you to help me buy an iPad." And he stands there for about 6 seconds while we all process what happened. And my coworker goes, "I don't know anything about iPads." And he goes, "You should ask Kate. She knows everything." And the guy looks at me, he goes, "I'll come back another day." And just 180's out of the store.
It's not only that he needed a man to give him the validation of his purchase. He refused to buy the thing he wanted simply because a woman was standing in front of him.
Oh, yeah. I mean, one half step higher than that was the occasion in which another gentleman came into our department, said that he was looking for somebody who could sell him an iPad, to which, of course, I respond yet again, "Yep, that's me. What can I do for you?" And he goes, "Well, I mean, what do you know about them?" So, as a, silver level trained iPad or Apple certified sales technician,
You're basically
I go
an Apple genius.
I was an Apple genius. Let's be dead honest. It doesn't take much.
Or at least, like a dedicated Apple bookworm.
Yeah. Yeah. I was past enthusiast and well into, knows what they're talking about. So I start on the classic questions. What are you looking to use it for? What type of apps do you like? What's your memory? We're whittling it down. He lets me do the whole spiel. I can see him start to relax a little bit. We get to the end of the whole conversation. He ends up choosing a device that isn't what he'd come in for because he realized he didn't actually know what he wanted, and my recommendation was better. Win. Until he looks at me, yet again, the full up and down. I'm telling you, I think every woman in retail knows that.
Yeah, they've always done it. It's really gross.
Always. It's so disgusting. But he does the up and down again, and he goes, "You know what? Good job." And I, taken back, goes, "Sorry, what?" "Oh, just wait." He goes, "I really didn't think you could help me. I'm impressed." It's not a compliment,
Good job.
sir.
You circumvented my own shitty thoughts.
Well, but that's something that I've experienced a fair amount. I think I mentioned to you once when I was working in the weed store, one of my first shifts there, a guy comes in and it was always the same demographic. It would be like men over 50 that are looking for hash. And he marched up to the counter and kind of looked at me and was like, "I'll wait." And I was like, "What?" And then my coworker radioed in. We had these little things, and he was just like, "I'm going to come out and help you. Hang on." And he came out, and he was like, "Yes, man, how can I help you?" And he's like, "Yeah." And he just completely looked over me and was talking to this guy. He's like, "What hash you got?" And he was like, I don't know nothing about hash. She knows way more about hash than me. And I was like, why is he doing this to us? I only know that my knives at home look gross. And then, like, the old fellow, like, kind of, he was like, fine, whatever. And then, very easy, because I was like, we have, like, a finite amount of product. Do you want A or do you want B? Here is A, here is B. And he's like, oh, that's easy. And then when he left, I was like, why did you throw me to the wolves like that? And he was like, no, he comes in often. He won't talk to women because he doesn't think that they know anything. And then, so we play stupid. And I was like, that's sad for so many reasons.
Being sexist with your drug dealer is insane to me.
Right? Like, that's what I mean. This is the lowest stakes. Like, with an iPad, that's an expensive purchase. So, like, I'm not justifying what he did, but, like, you would like to be in good hands when you're getting, like, a multi-$100 device versus, like, I'm like, you're gonna smoke this.
Right? It's like you're one step past throwing your money down the toilet at that point.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, you're gonna smoke it, and you're gonna watch the hockey game on the couch, you're gonna think about why your son doesn't call you anymore for,
and
like, 5 minutes.
And then he becomes woke!
And then, oh no, he's gonna be like, Jesus. He watched that hockey show about
heated rivalries.
The tension. Yeah, no, that probably woke up a lot of, like, men. Like, it either made, like, the older men very, very angry for their own reasons, or it made them a little more woke.
The big one that I hear about that show, and this is a complete tangent.
Perfect.
Is that it's like, I don't care about the gays, just the hockey sucks. I was like, you know what? If that's your complaint, go whole hog.
Yeah. I love it when people are just like, it's not because of the gay, it's because of this. And then you're like, you know what? Actually, fair. Yeah.
It's not because they're gay. He's given up his entire future for this one guy who doesn't even like him. And the hockey sucks.
I really got to watch this show, man.
We still haven't watched it in my house, but I know enough.
Yeah.
That I'm, like, intrigued.
Yeah, one of the sellers at the market today had a hat from it. The sexual tension in this hockey game is killing me, or something like that. Yep. And I was like, I don't know what this is referencing, but I gotta find out.
Mike, like, have you had things happen based on your gender as you present?
Yeah, I assume that there's a flip side.
Yeah. And this is way lower stakes, but when I worked at a dollar store, they did, like, the party balloons kind of stuff. You do the ribbons and such. And we had a lady come in for her son's birthday and get a whole bunch of balloons. And she looked at me and said, can you get the girl to do it? And I was like, I was 19 at the time. I was the supervisor. My employee that I was supervising was 26, colorblind, and half stupid. And I was like, yeah, if you want, like... And so this is what did the balloons. They looked like garbage. And I was just like, if only you just put away your preconceived notions about a 19-year-old boy and his ability to curl ribbons.
I hate to throw my boyfriend under the bus on that one, but I did teach him how to curl ribbon this Christmas. He watched me do it, and he just stopped and went, I thought that was a magic trick in movies.
No.
And I was like, sorry, what? And he goes, yeah, you see them do it in TV shows. And I assumed it was like movie magic. Like, I didn't think it was real. Anyways, I taught him how to curl them. He took them home for his mother for Christmas. She was so impressed. And I was like, there you go. That's my gift to you.
Now,
this
in fairness,
Christmas.
he's a very young man.
Well, maybe this woman was just right to judge me.
No. Men under 40, when they know things, I'm like, this was earth-shattering for them to learn.
Earth-shattering, yeah. I think it's more a matter of he's never had to curl ribbons on a balloon, so why would he have learned at 19? Whereas you were clearly, dare I say, a professional balloon seller at that point.
I was, you know what? I wasn't a pro. I just had a love of the game.
Respect.
But literally, like, you put 3 colors together and curl the ribbon. Like, it's not rocket science. I'm not selling iPads. Maybe she would have had so much more faith in me if I was selling her an iPad rather than curling her son's birthday balloons.
But a dollar store iPad, so the second you, like, open it, it explodes.
Yeah.
I mean, real iPads do that, so...
It's just like a plastic case with a sticker on it.
Yeah. Filled with candy. Like the little toy phones that you get at the dollar stores.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Deep cut.
Is it really worth it if you don't get to eat it as well? No.
Well, I feel like you probably experienced it selling iPads. But I had a lot of this at the video game store where somebody would ask me a recommendation and then they would just be like, whatever, you don't know what you're talking about. I'm like, okay, so you had an answer that you wanted. I didn't give it to you. And then the inverse of that was that a lot of times I would be quizzed relentlessly on stuff.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there wasn't a book recommendation you could give to a man where he wouldn't then grill you on whether or not it actually was appropriate for a man. Like, is this really a girl's book? Like, and it
What's
transcended
a girl's
age.
book? Are all the
No, but
all
they-
the words are in pink?
I wish it
No,
was
it's
that
called
simple.
glitter speak. It's crafted very, with flowery language that we say to women to make them fucking not realize that their head is ready to explode.
Yeah, you just distract them with synonyms instead of them actually caring about their social position in the world.
No, the synonyms are also laced with Valium. It keeps us
Yeah.
all just steadily
Calm.
calm.
I mean, I have, as my own tangent, I have huge beef with the label of chick lit because it's essentially fiction that is written with a woman in mind. So if the character's a woman, or the issues she deals with in the book relate in any capacity to women, or they don't directly relate to something men understand, it gets slapped with the label of chick lit. And then it becomes its own genre of book that apparently is worth less because it is about women or by women or for women.
And the other women are the one buying books. Like,
Yeah.
We're reading more than men,
are not
statistically.
buying books.
No, you know what men were buying? They were buying historical biographies.
I was about to say
Yeah,
books about
war
the war.
biographies.
Yeah, Winston Churchill,
What
never
a
a
great
woman,
read.
never a historical woman, but
No,
they'll buy anything about a man.
To be fair, if it was between, a book on Churchill and a book on Thatcher, I'm choosing Churchill. Not to be sexist.
No, I mean,
Again,
I'm
just throwing this out there. Like, I think every book I ever bought my dad for Father's Day was like, it said like during the war, and I was like, perfect. Does he have it
Done.
already? Doesn't matter. He'll
I
read it
gave my
again.
dad motorcycle true crime
That is-
document books.
Yeah, I was going to say the alternative is Scandinavian mysteries. Like, they're buying historical biographies
And
or
the girl with the
really
dragon
angsty
tattoo.
Scandinavian mysteries.
That
yeah,
was its
that's
own
about
thing.
it. Yeah. And then you've got women buying everything else.
Yeah.
Unless it's for their sons. And then you're just opening the can of worms.
See, that was the worst thing that I found in the video game store was that when like a woman would come in buying something for her precious baby boy, who is the tender age of 25, she'd ask me for recommendations, and then I'd be like, oh, this is really popular, or I would ask like a more probing question, like, how dare I, but like, what does your son like? And they're like, I don't know. And it's like, this is going to go so well for both of us.
We're all going to win.
And then
with
you have
this.
to ask like the questions and like, does he like sports? Does he like baseball? Does he like war? And then she's like, yes to all of those. I'm like, what console does he have? She's like, the one with the controllers. And you're like, and then finally it would usually end in them going, but is that a girl game? And I was like, okay, like I know that this is a cliche, but it's a cliche for a reason. If you do not operate something with your genitals, it is not
Gendered.
It's not gendered. And also, if you were operating something with your genitals, I don't think I should be selling this in the family-friendly store.
I'm just saying,
And I
wrong
don't think
joystick.
a
wrong
mom shouldn't
joystick.
be buying it.
Yeah, mom shouldn't be buying you this
Yeah.
if it's gender operated.
Yeah, we had so many occasions where mothers would come in to look for books for their kids. And once you get past the no graphic novels, because that has pictures and therefore isn't a real book fight, then you get into, but it has a lead character who's a female, so my 8-year-old son can't read it. And you're like, perhaps your 8-year-old son would be a better person than you if they read books that had female protagonists in them. I don't know. God forbid.
I mean, even at my baby shower, people bought books, and one or two of them was like, oh, it was between this and this. And like, these are people that are in my age range, and they were just like, but I bought this because, you said you were having a boy. I'm like, it's a baby. It's a starter human with no knees. They are
Yeah.
all the same until they're like 5, and then they're still pretty much the same.
Yeah, it really doesn't matter which book you get them as a newborn. They do a memory dump at 3.
That's what I mean. Like, they do a full system reset at 3, and every book that we give him, he'll be like, enriching, and he'll eat it.
Yes.
He will put it in his mouth, learn nothing about genders, and then go on about his happy little day. Like, one of his
Yeah.
favorite
What if that
toys-
was a girl book? It would taste funny.
Did that turn him gay?
Oh, no.
I'm allowed to ask that. I'm queer. I'm not.
I'm
this is
also
not a
queer.
hate crime.
Well, no,
Yeah.
we have a joke in my house that, like, as the straight person in our family, Kevin, if our boy grows up and he's like, Mom, Dad, I'm straight, I'll be like, from you! He learned it from watching you! But,
but not from eating straight books.
not from eating straight books. No,
No.
it's not because he watched straight content. He was born that way.
Could you imagine if watching straight content made people straight? We'd all be straight.
Ugh.
Like, all content up until like 5 years ago was straight content, dare I say.
But like, and additionally, I'm kind of liking that we've made a bit of a switch in terms of like because a lot of media producers have noticed the same thing. Like, women do tend to be engaging more with Netflix or with streaming services. Just, I guess, on average, your stay-at-home parent does tend to fall in that's for a bunch of reasons. But like, I'm appreciating this as I was a stay-at-home parent for a while. But now a lot of like new content seems to be a little more gender friendly, where like it's just been really cool that I'm seeing they them representative, and I'm seeing a lot more female representation. But then the flip side of that is that I have to go to my normally safe places online and find people complaining that everything has gotten too woke now.
But it's just the market has shifted. The biggest spending power in the market right now is young professional women aged 25 to 35.
Yeah.
So just from a supply and demand point of view, like, it makes sense to make content geared towards the most powerful buying block in society at the moment. Like, these people who are like, oh, it's too woke, that's a chick show, why are they putting so many chick shows out there? Silver Surfer's a girl, holy shit, Silver Surfer's a girl. It's like,
now, are they getting angry because they were always secretly attracted to Silver Surfer, and this has just shifted
no, she doesn't have a silver dick anymore.
Well, we all know that liking women is gay, according to those right-wing podcasters. So
No, that's true. Actually, liking your wife is extremely gay. I have
so
read this.
gay.
Oh, it starts in high school. I wanted to do cheerleading in high school.
You'd have been an amazing cheerleader.
I know. But that was, hanging out with a bunch of girls all day was gay. So they were like,
so gay for
you
a
need to,
young man to hang
you need
out
to
with
join
women.
rugby.
Ah, yes, so you can
Rugby,
tackle other
the
men.
straightest sport there is, where the uniform is short shorts, knee socks, and a very tight polo.
And you have to scrum, which means that you have to then pile up on top of each other.
Well, before you pile up, so for 45% of the game, my face was next to a big fat man's asshole, and my position was called the hooker.
That's our boy.
But that was too gay to be a cheerleader. My
You
buddies
can be a hooker, but you can't hang out with women. That's your only choice.
Well, my buddies were cheerleaders, and like all they did all day was stand around and catch ass from future OnlyFans models.
Oh, hell yeah.
Like, but it was too gay.
I mean, I think I speak for all of us when I say that the patriarchy has harmed everybody equally.
Everybody.
Oh, like
including
everybody.
young men and their ability to get tail.
Well, do you ever talk to like...
Oh, I wouldn't have succeeded at all. I just would have been... It would have been nice
in
just to be
there.
in consideration.
You would have been in the
Yeah,
mix.
but the thing is, you would have learned a lot. So by the time you hit your 20s, you'd have been that emotionally aware, open, communicative guy that the girls are looking for, instead of being one of the like bros who only hung out with dudes and doesn't know how to talk to a woman. Like,
Yeah.
And wears short shorts
And
twice a
wears
week
shorts.
and runs around a field with a
with
bunch
other
of
men.
other
just
men.
25 burly, hairy dudes.
Well, and I think
the
that a lot
straightest
of...
thing I can think of.
Sports. So
Sports.
straight.
So straight. I think that one of the things that I've thought about a lot is that a lot of men in our age bracket have kind of been on the weird fence where they're like a little woke, but then they're also a little annoyed at the younger gen for being softer. And I'm like, is this maybe because you're upset realizing that it could have been nicer for you?
Oh, I think there's so much jealousy. And like, I'm lucky. My boyfriend is a few years younger than me. And at first I was like, oh God, I'm going to be an old woman. Am I a cougar? What if I age first? End of the day, right? God forbid I show my age at any point. Instead, what I've ended up with is that perfect middle zone between our age bracket, which we're just starting to talk about emotions and mental health, and the younger kids who like grew up talking about it and accepting it. So I look at him and I'm like, hey, I'm having this problem. And he's like, yeah, of course you are. Let's talk about it. And I'm like,
Good.
I can't do that with most guys my age. Like, what's going on? It's beautiful. It is. It is honestly peak position.
So what are some like traditionally gendered jobs in customer service? Like sales, I think, is very gendered towards male, or the perception that sales is
definitely.
male.
Yeah. So like high-end sales, like cars,
Big ticket items.
RVs, big ticket items.
But even small ticket, like iPads, like I sold cell phones and like had
Yeah.
women coworkers who would constantly be furious with the customers, constantly be like belittling them,
Just being
them and
gross.
undermining them and that sort of stuff.
Yeah, and I think what it is, for me at least, what I've noticed over the years is big ticket items will always go to men as the assumption. So like if you want to buy a car, 9 times out of 10 you're going to be talking to a guy. When it comes to those smaller ticket items, smaller medium ticket, that's when it breaks down between the actual items. So tech, 100% geared towards men selling and buying. So you expect to have men selling you your cell phone plans. You expect men to be selling you your iPads and your Apple products. When it comes to other things like home effects, so like teapots, blankets, that's girl zone. If it's soft or if it's pretty, it's girl zone. Where the bookstore was interesting is like there was an even sort of split where, again, history, biography, mystery, straight to men. Romance, kids' books, straight to women.
Right.
If you had a guy working in the kids section, everyone went, oh,
well,
weird.
that's not appropriate.
That's creepy.
Honestly, yeah, because I do remember that from, it's not, front facing, but I used to work in daycare for a really long time. And, you have a lot of people being like, we need male role models for our young kids so that they have something. And then the same side of that coin is the same parents going like, I don't think I like the idea of that person changing my kid if they spill spaghetti on themselves. And it's like, you're the problem. Like, it's literally, it's a young
your
man
kid
that
has
is...
a dad. So you're either telling me that your dad is just one of the good ones, or you're telling me your dad doesn't do anything. Like, those are your two options here. And I mean, I had a friend 15 years ago now, so like a decent chunk of time, who wanted to go into young education, like early education.
Yeah.
He made it 2 semesters before he dropped out because he said the amount of like creepy comments that people made towards him in regard to like what they perceived his intentions to be was
Honestly,
above
yeah.
and beyond. And that's the same for every coworker I had who was a male and loved working in the kids section, was instantly judged by customers. And it was the same in clothing. Like, if you work in clothing and you're not specifically selling a men's suit, no woman's going to you. So, like, any female-dominated clothing location is only going to have women. And now I get it.
And this is part of the problem, but we've never not, like, heard that fact about him in all these years and not been like, huh, funny.
Yeah, but it's always super shocking. Now, I also understand that's like a little, like a lingerie store. Maybe you don't want to be buying your lingerie off of a dude. I don't know. Maybe you do.
Yeah.
I don't buy lingerie, so I'll let the class decide.
I think that there is, when it comes to retail in general and any customer facing, so like whether it's food service or hospitality, people do have their preconceived notion of who they feel safe in a space with. I think you could go so far as saying like medicine. We're seeing more and more male nurses, for example, which is really beneficial to male patients who feel more comfortable that way. Just like there are certain issues I'd rather go talk to a female doctor about.
Sure.
But I also believe that 90% of that is still socialization and comes from a gendered socialized background where we only feel safer with buying lingerie from a woman because we don't necessarily know that we can trust the average man. So it's how do I know this guy isn't peeking in? How do I know this? Because we're still struggling with having people acknowledge that, yes, it's not all men, but it's enough men that you have to be careful of it.
Yeah, the not all men thing was always so silly to me because, like, yeah, of course it's not 100%.
Not all of them.
Literally nothing is 100%. But there is a significant percentage that is making life worse for everyone.
That's what I
Yes.
mean. Like, most of the men in my circle, terrific. We love them. However, if you hear that one of them, like, just, for example, shits on people's doorways, you're going to be like, I'm a little nervous around you being near my doorway.
Yeah, and if you hear one guy you know shits on doorways, you're going to be hesitant to invite any of your guy friends over because you don't know which one it is. So, I mean, that was always the argument of, living in a big city, is this idea of why do you cross a street if a man's on the other side? And you're like, because you don't know if that's the one that actually matters. And I think that translates into all job situations, but it really translates into retail in a fascinating way because that customer facing is, I mean, it's like the old phrase, the customer's always right, has been so corrupted into, like, it used to be the customer's always right in
matters of taste.
In matters of taste. So even if it's ugly as fuck, you let them buy it because they want to buy it. But now we've transitioned that into whether it's appropriate or not, customer's always right. And it feels like that black and white thinking. I know this feels tangential, but that black and white thinking of always right for the customer, always wrong for the staff is everything. So women can only do certain jobs. Men can only do certain jobs. Queer people are only acceptable in some retail locations. Open queerness in other retail locations is inappropriate somehow because God forbid my child see an interesting looking person that doesn't fit into my gender expectation in a standard bookstore.
Yeah.
And I think retail is one of those places where that black and white thinking really has not progressed. If not, it's actually gone backwards in a lot of ways. It's regressed a lot.
No, because absolutely. Like, we had customer comment cards at a place that I used to work, and there was a coworker of mine that was they, them. Like, that was their pronouns. They were pretty neutral in how they presented. And a woman had been in with her kids, and she wrote a complaint card because she shouldn't have to explain things to her children just for going in a pedestrian traffic. And I was like, you don't have to explain what? Also, your kid goes to public school. They're going to know so much more than you do about
your kid
everything.
Watches TV. Like, this is my beef. Is your child watches TV and you're telling me, so unless you are patrolling your kid's media content, which given that they're standing there on their phone, well, you bitch at me, I'm assuming you're not. Don't pick a fight over something that is saturating our society. And more importantly, just because it makes you feel weird does not mean you can pretend it doesn't exist.
Well, yeah, but that was something that I don't think I'd personally given any thought to. I mean, they were just like my coworker. They were a bud. They were cool. They knew their shit about what we were selling. And, most people that came in the store did not make it a weird thing. And then this one woman had so many questions for them that was about what they were wearing or what they were doing. And we were like, that was weird. And then afterwards we're like, that was cool.
That was bigotry.
No, good. That was
delightful.
But yeah, it's just one more facet to people. I think just this weird experience where people take it personally how you present if you are in the sphere of selling them something.
Yeah, and I also find that so interesting because they don't question extreme presentations of masculinity or femininity in the same way. So it's like you can walk into a store where a teenage girl is wearing booty shorts and a crop top to sell you booty shorts and a crop top or sneakers or whatever the case is.
When I do it, suddenly it's a problem.
God forbid you show up in booty shorts and a crop top unless you're about to go play rugby. What can I say?
Complete with socks.
Socks. Well, thigh highs, There's whole
baby.
days for that on the internet.
Speaking of thigh highs, it's time for another retail.
Diddly-doo, diddly-doo, diddly-doo.
The day was sunny despite the dark energy in the air. It was a disgusting time period known as the early 2000s. It was StarCraft 2 release day in the video game store that I worked for, and we would be lucky to make it out alive. The midnight release meant we could only wait and make awkward eye contact with the creatures coming in to set up camp in front of the store during business hours that day. One such creature was Rodney, and his fedora gave his shadow that incel vibe to complement his sparse facial hair and Hawaiian shirt. He set up his folding chair in front of the store, complete with a bag of loose Cheez-Its for sustenance. We knew what this was. He was establishing himself as the king of the craft. Unfortunately, due to the schematics of waiting outside for at least 7 hours, Rodney regularly came into the store that day to show us his dominance and warm his hands. He scanned my coworkers and I, determining who he was going to impress the most. He rejected the 2 male coworkers, as both were normal men over 5'5" and not likely to be as inspired by his knowledge. He tipped his weathered hat and zeroed in on me, like the Terminator, but with adult braces. The dance begun. "Wow," he opened. "How do they get a redhead to work at a video game store?" I froze. I knew what was coming. I chanted the Konami code to call the video game gods. I was a woman about to get quizzed to determine whether or not I was a fake gamer girl. Having gotten no response, Rodney took this to mean that he was doing well. "I love redheads," he purred over his retainer, but the overall tone made it seem like he had a bunch of redheads chained to a radiator in his basement. "So do you like those cute girly games?" There was no one else in the store, and I was clearly being held verbally hostage by my name tag, motivated only by the thought of losing the gold sticker next to my name on the chart in the break room. I blinked slowly, like you would if being approached by a large, nervous cat. "I bet you don't know anything about StarCraft." Rodney seemed gleeful, Cheez-Its buzzing and the ghost of his mustache on the face. "You ever think about getting someone to teach you?" My coworker made eye contact with me from the ladder where he was hanging Mad Cat's controllers. He knew that if I didn't keep Rodney isolated, he'd be a pest to everyone else. He saluted me. I knew my sacrifice was for everyone. Rodney adjusted his loud shirt, which loosened a cascade of orange crumbs onto the store floor. He rose to his full height, and I knew the boss fight of being a woman in a video game store was about to start. "What's your favorite game?" A dark smile crossed his face. He knew he'd caught me. Surely I couldn't outsmart a master of his caliber. No answer was right. "Dr. Mario? That's ancient, and not even the good Mario. Of course you'd say that." "BioShock? Yeah, right. You probably only ever watched your boyfriend play that." "Call of Duty? Okay, pick me. Tell me about how you're not like other girls." "Psychonauts? Total manic pixie dream girl." "Old games are obviously outside of my skill set, and new games are too scary." "You don't know the name of the 84 artists who worked on the bonus content from a 2007 release? Please." I knew there was only one answer that would derail Rodney, and it wasn't pretty. I said, "Dead or Alive Extreme Volleyball." Rodney blinks. I know he knows this game, and I know why. I sigh and I continue. Because of the jiggle physics. Rodney is no longer having fun. I overplayed because he sees that I'm messing with him. "You know what?" he seethes. "I didn't come here to be condescended to by a skinny bitch who doesn't know anything." He knocked over a small Pikachu figurine off the register with some spite before turning on his orthopedic heel and heading back to his throne. I took a deep breath. Yes, I had been called a bitch, but at least he thought I was thin.
And welcome back. We're still in the studio with Kate Stenson.
Woo!
Hello. Name tags, hey?
Oh my god, I used to hate, sometimes they would turn it so that they could see it and be like,
Oh, if you had a
Sarah.
lanyard?
Yeah, because we had to wear a lanyard. I started wearing my coworker's lanyard just because, like, I was like, you're gonna be gross, and I will be damned if I make this fun for you. So they'd flip it and be like, Raymond, and I was like, that's me.
I wish I could get away with that. I so often would take we used to always have spare name tags for like if you forgot yours or like accidentally left it in your bag or something like that. And I used to regularly hide my own name tag so that I could use a spare just so that it wasn't my own name.
Yeah.
Because there was nothing creepier than working, especially a late night shift and being alone. Like when I was in tech department, for example, I was often the only one in there and it was often kind of tucked into a corner. And so you wouldn't be around many of your coworkers. It was a little secluded. And then some guy would walk up and just start talking to you with your name as if he knows you.
Ugh.
Or you'd be walking across the store and they'd call your name out because they'd spotted it early and kept it in their heads. And I'm like, I am waiting for the day that I walk out of this store at midnight and have a strange man calling out to me on the street by name. At which point I will go, oh, is that someone I know? And then get thrown into a van or kidnapped. Like, it's awful.
Scary.
And I brought it up with so many managers being like, I understand that you guys think name tags makes us feel personal and accessible.
But it makes people feel too personal.
It's really creepy. And you guys aren't aware of the fact that men take advantage of that information and they use it against you later. And I have been cornered. Yeah. And I have had men catch me at a point where none of my coworkers were around and use that opportunity to like ask you out. I mean, my very first job, I had a friggin' stalker who'd bring his kid in to like make it less creepy.
That makes
no,
it
more
creepier.
creepy.
Way creepier.
More
Thank you.
creepy.
And I was so young, I didn't know really what was happening. Like I was, 17, 18. I was working at a video
don't know how to
rental
navigate
store.
something like that.
No, and I at first thought it was just that I was being a little precious or I read into the situation wrong and I was like, people don't like me. That's not what it is. Until my coworkers, who happened to be male in their young 20s, all looked at me and went, you're never serving him again. And when they would see him in the parking lot, they would warn me and I'd go hide in the office because they didn't want me interacting with this guy who used to come in and be a complete creep with his kid on his
Well, that's
hip.
very nice of them to have done that for you. Like, part of me in my 2020 vision brain would be like, tell him not to come back.
Yeah.
Like, it's one thing to protect him, but like, do you need his business that badly?
Yeah,
that
if you have to warn your coworker that this guy is coming, you have to go hide. Don't let him in the store!
Well, see, it kind of reminded me of that thing that, I don't know, luckily I didn't experience this. My mother was very much like a shut that shit down person, but there's families that talk about like, oh, like your uncle so-and-so is coming over, go put on something more appropriate. And it's like, that uncle shouldn't be coming over.
No.
If like your daughter needs to wear something that covers her shoulders because Uncle Creepy is coming over, like he shouldn't be allowed. Like he should be in a jail.
And
Yeah.
sometimes when like you get these creeps come in, like in the service industry, it is rampant. Like I've had people who I worked with at restaurants who the guy, like, you know, a power business lunch kind of group of guys come in
Ugh.
and they'd, like, you know, do the scroll, the up and down,
What?
and then be like, oh, hey, come here and get my drink order. And you'll just, like, get the server to sit on their lap. And the server's like, I don't get paid enough. I need this tip money. It's, you know, it's a 10-person table. They all look like they have loot. I kind of have to play ball in order to get a tip.
Yeah, and they
It's
don't
the
tip.
worst.
And not even if they, either way, it's like they're
It's still
being
being
coaxed
held
into something
hostage.
like gross for money.
Well, yeah, the
Yeah.
amount of times that I've interacted with the table that was gross, like fully gross. Like, because like my hair is red. It's not like a cool red like yours. It's just like a dull red, but apparently that's enough to get attention. But when I was serving, there was a customer that regularly used to ask me if the carpet matched the drapes. And I just
Fucking
never,
disgusting.
I never interacted with him at all in that regard. Like, I just started doing a thing where I was like, what did we want to drink? And I would just wait and I'd be like, yeah, I'm slammed. There could be no one else in the restaurant. I'd be like, off my feet, slammed. But over COVID, I got very bored, like most of us, and I got my hair to go white. Like, it took so many YouTube tutorials, and I did it. My hair went white. I felt really good about it. It was like the first cool thing that I've done with my hair. And when I went back to work, he literally grabbed my ponytail and was
Nope.
like, what did you do? And I was like, I was holding a tray of drinks at the time, so it was just by fluke that I did not turn and pour because, like,
Oh, I would have.
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
I fully have done it when somebody, like, this happened more than once where somebody put their hand, like, up the back of my shirt or skirt, which,
Nope.
disgusting. Don't worry, like, everybody's on the same page. I was lucky that I had a really good boss that was like, oh, we're not doing that here. But I've also worked for other people that were kind of like, well, just, you know, get them in and out. And I was like, why are we making allowances for people that behave like this to women
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
trying to work their job?
And-
Why is money so worth it?
Yes, and I mean that's the question across the board in so much shitty customer behavior, but the harassment
Yeah.
is where the limit should be. And it's
It
like
should
you
be.
asked, why did my coworkers have to warn me? Because my manager, who was what I would now call a very young man, because, you know, I have passed that threshold long over.
Yeah. You were 19 and he was 25.
Yeah.
It's kind of
He was
like
an old
Mulaney's
hash.
joke about a horse watching the kid, kind of,
Yeah, exactly.
or the horse watching a dog.
So he went to the owner multiple times to talk to him about this problematic customer and how he was asking for permission essentially to ban this guy, and the owner wouldn't let him because the money was so important. And I was like, how is this money more important than our safety? And then it clicked. One of the reasons I got hired at that video store was that our manager at the time was desperate to have some women working there because
Oh
it was
my
an
God, yes.
all-male staff, and he felt that that wasn't fair either to the store or the customers. He was like, it is not okay that that the owner has only ever hired men, so he took it upon himself to hire women. We were the first two, myself and my coworker who were brought in at the same time, were the first two women that ever worked there,
Ooh.
Gross.
which is like shocking.
Well, no, but like it was the same when I worked at the video game store. Like I got hired the same time that like 5 women did, and we were all young too. And like I'm saying this in not at all a self-deprecating way. I was the ugliest girl he hired, and like this is when I was like 19, 20. So like I was cute, and but he hired like 6 of us. We were all like
Supermodel hot.
They were, yes. I did my best. And like the manager at the time used to make jokes, and then we'd have customers that made the jokes, and they were all the same jokes, but like, oh, you guys should do like a gamer girl calendar. And like it started out kind of like cringy, but not full out appropriate, and then very quickly devolved into like, yeah, like you can wear like bathing suits made out of game controllers. And I remember being there and being like, I only just started being able to buy my own alcohol. And like the men making these comments are like 35-year-old patrons that come in almost every day.
Yeah.
So this is like layers of, but like I remember when I was younger not thinking it was that bad, just thinking if I just put up with it, it would be fine. And now the older I get, and like I've interacted with like men that are 19, and I'm like, the idea of sexualizing that who just got their braces taken off makes me so much more disgusted with the men that I interacted with in those positions, because I'm like, I cannot picture. But like one of the things that made it more disturbing was when I worked at the game store, there was a local website. It was like a forum kind of thing. And there was one forum that was called Crushes from Afar. And I had like 80 friends send me this one sub forum, but it was about the redheaded girl from the video game store that had a nose ring, and you know, they were like giving facts about me. Like, and then somebody's like, oh, her
Nope.
name's Sarah. Sometimes she wears like whatever name tag. I think it's just because like maybe she's like not always prepared, lol. Or like, you know, she smokes these because I seen her at the loading dock once. And I was like, this is so gross.
That's like a CSI level of investigation on someone who works in a store.
That's what I mean. I could almost understand it if I was like a celebrity, because people are prone to that kind of shit. But like the fact is that I was like, I am literally selling you video games. Like, and the fact that like I don't know anything about any of you other than some of you smell funkier than the others is that like, and you have like a small like local. The fact that it was local was extra creepy. Because I'm like, ooh, these are people that live around me, I assume, because they're coming into the store that I work in.
Do they know where I live?
That was my second thought. I was like, at the time, I was a pedestrian. I was like, do they know where I live? Like, do they know, like, because I mean, like, we had to do a deposit at the end of the night, so I'd have to walk to the bank that was like, you know, 500 feet away from where the store was, like, outside. And I was like, I don't like any of this.
No.
Like, and it was just the same thing. It was like, once they know a little bit about you, it kind of segues into this deeply inappropriate kind of meta relationship that they think that they have.
Yeah, it's like that parasocial relationship kind
Absolutely.
of mentality. And we see it so clearly now with social media and, you know, the parasocial relationships people have with TikTok stars and YouTube stars. But it does exist on that micro level in something like retail.
Oh, absolutely.
And I mean, I've heard so many horror stories from female friends who work in coffee shops or bars because
Oh,
then,
that
of
was the
course, you have your
worst, yeah.
daily regulars who really kind of, and I mean, I worked in food service. I worked in hospitality. I worked in a tea store that also sold beverages. So we did have people that came in every day for their go-to. So you do get to know them and you do build relationships with your customers from time to time.
Yeah.
But when it's that one-sided creep spy factor,
Yeah.
you really, like, we're crossing the line from a casual acquaintanceship with your daily gamer
Yeah,
girl.
maintaining customer relationships as
Into
they put on
stalking.
in the corporate speak.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah,
and
like,
you're
listen.
crossing into stalking pretty friggin' quickly.
That's what I
Mhm.
mean. Like, there's a difference between me being friendly with the kid at my local convenience store, because I see them like every other day, and they're always like, how's your little boy? And I'm like, good to see you, pal. I hope you get an easy night. And I'm like, do I know anything else about that young person? Literally nothing. And
Nor
that's the way
should
I
you.
like it. No.
No.
Like, the idea of like going on Facebook and trying to find them for some insane reason,
Nope.
I cannot fathom putting any stock into finding something out about this person's personal life.
And not to mention that, they're at work.
That's the other
Like-
thing. You're holding somebody hostage because their job would dictate that they, at the very least, can't spit at you.
Yes. And I mean, that conversation comes up so often, the idea of like, okay, this, and it is more common for female workers than male. And I'm sure it has gone the other way. Like, I've definitely watched women be inappropriate with my male
Oh my God,
coworkers
yes.
before. Like, don't get me wrong. I've worked with some hotties over the years. But
They don't even have to be hot.
No, I mean,
They
honestly,
just have to be
no.
like kind of funny and nice, and that's like, because
Or
honestly,
tall.
I coasted.
I got the
on being
last
funny.
3, so that's what happened to me.
I wish
don't
I was
do yourself
kidding.
a disservice.
Look at you go.
Yeah, come on now. But like,
You're very rapeable.
oh yeah,
There
I
are
mean-
forums dedicated to you and your social insurance number. Just you wait.
But I mean, that it really does go to show how weirdly socialized we are to being used to being harassed. In that, like, when I lived in Toronto, my roommate would walk home and she would get into the house and tell me stories about some guy who was like following her, asking for her number, or was like walking down the street and this and that. And I finally looked at her one day and I was like, I'm going to be the worst feminist. Am I not hot enough to catcall? And she's like, no, you literally look like you're gonna shank a bitch. Like, she's like, the way that you walk home at night, you look like you're gonna murder someone. No one's gonna harass you on the street at night. But it was like, that is how deeply rooted it is, that I was almost jealous that my female friends were getting like stalked by guys at night, because like, what did that say about me?
I felt like a weird similar thing when I had all these friends that were getting dick pics from one guy in particular, and then I was like, am I not like
I know,
cute?
I'm like, I've never received a dick pic. And all my friends are like, again, because they know you'd cut it off. Like, there is no space to harass you in that way unless you're at work. Because
Yep.
we're
Yeah.
not allowed to speak back. You're not allowed to tell a customer to fuck off. You're not even allowed to walk away from them if they're being inappropriate. And the more corporate your job is, like, local businesses, a lot more leeway in being able to ban customers or ask
Yeah.
them to leave. But as soon as you're getting into a national business or an international workplace, like of any type in retail, that goes down and down and down because the store managers have so little control themselves, and they are held such hostage by numbers and sales to the corporate office that they're like, it's not worth the risk.
Honestly, yeah, like years and years and years ago, I worked there was like a strip club, but I worked in the coat check, and one of my friends was one of the dancers, and she previously had been a barista, and we were talking about it, and just the way management dealt with creeps was so like it was a really, I mean, it was still gross because of the people. But it was like if you told a manager this person has crossed a line, they were gone. They did not ask that many second questions. And she was saying how when she used to be a barista, the shit that people would say to her, and it was creepier because they were in a situation where they weren't drinking or they weren't being egged on by a bunch,
And
or
she
it wasn't like
half naked.
yeah, it wasn't like
Yeah.
a sex work environment. It was literally selling lattes to people at 10 o'clock in the morning, and the shit that men would say to her was just it was creepier because you, one, like you said, you cannot exit the conversation, and two, like you touched on, the amount of times that we just put up with something because we're like, we really need this job to live. Like, it's non-negotiable. Finding another job with no notice is not an option.
The things that have happened to me, the most common is that it's always middle-aged or older ladies, and they will touch me.
Ugh.
And I don't, like, I have a thing about my shoulders being touched. Like, I have to have a lot of trust for you to touch my shoulders. And, like, there'd be times where I'm trying to sell someone a phone, and they're, like, rubbing my shoulder. Like, oh, yes, now. Oh, look at your hair. Oh,
No
my
point of your
goodness."
job requires touching.
None of my jobs have required the person to touch me.
Oh, mine no.
But they did it anyway, and it happened twice at the restaurant. When I worked at the Chinese restaurant, we wore like long aprons, and a couple of pockets in the front, and that's where I'd keep like my pen, my notepad, take orders, whatever. There was two ladies, different times. They had taken the tip and put it into my apron, and then grabbed my dick.
You can't do that.
And at the time, I was just what the? I just kind of went, nope. And like, I just kind of like instinctually kind of like flicked her hand.
Like you would
Away.
if anything touched your penis that you didn't want to touch your penis.
And then I said, I'm sorry for knocking your hand away because I didn't realize no one should be touched like that when they, one, did not consent, two, are at work, three, can't get away.
And that's, again, then where the conversation comes in to patriarchy ruins it for everyone, because the amount of people as well that would dismiss your discomfort with that as saying, like, you're a guy, don't you
had to
want
like it a
women?
little.
Like, you had to like it a little.
lady grabbing your dong?
Or they claim, oh, she definitely didn't grab your dong. She just like accidentally brushed against you. Women don't do that. And you're like, women do that.
Women do that. When I was bartending, women sometimes would be the ones that like I'd be like, I have to cut you off, and if you touch me again, you are leaving. Because there was one time that this woman, she had to be like 50, and she didn't touch my pocket because I didn't have a pocket. I'm a woman.
We're not allowed pockets.
We're not allowed. It's
Fucking
a whole thing.
patriarchy.
Fucking
Yeah.
patriarchy. It's like the biggest problem. No, I said it and I can't even joke about it.
I'm so sad I'm not wearing my Eat the Patriarchy t-shirt right now. Like, I really feel like I did not prepare for this properly.
But she gave me a tip, and instead of giving it to me by putting it in the jar like normal people do, she put it in between my boobs. Because I was wearing like a scoop. It was also
No,
like 400 degrees
girl.
outside. It was July.
Just go to a strip club
It
if
was
you
a
want to
bar-
do that.
And even that, you still need consent.
Yeah.
But like she did it, and I was like, whoa. And then she was like, it's fine, I'm not gay. I was like, your orientation means nothing to me.
Yeah, and the number of times I've had men grab my boobs and go, it's fine because I am gay.
I've
and
had
I'm
that
like,
too, and I'm
guys,
like-
none of this is acceptable. Like, this is my personal self.
Gay men and straight women are the handsiest when they've been drinking.
Absolutely. And like, I can say that out of all of the weird, creepy situations I've had with men in workplaces, at least the majority of them were smart enough to not touch me, or I was able to keep a desk between us. Women, I have been inappropriately manhandled by women in workplaces more often than I feel should ever happen to anyone, and in a manner that completely boggles my brain, because I'm like, you are the ones who don't want this happening to you. Why are you doing this to other people?
Again, I don't know if like maybe working behind the counter dehumanizes us enough that they think that this is a totally appropriate thing to do, but
I think it's all customer facing service. Is like, I've regularly said, having done the trifecta of retail, food service, and hospitality service now, the one consistent between all of them is that people treat stores and customer service locations like it's their home. They will act in ways that boggle my brain.
I think
because
it's
I'm
worse
like, how
than
do
they're
you
at
behave
home.
like this? It absolutely is. It's like every impulse they've ever had, they just let happen. And there is a sliding scale. I will say that like retail is the most constrained. Food service, you get a lot of the really aggressive nitpicky. You get a lot of the like smile. You get a lot of, oh, if I have one more man tell me to smile. And you get a lot of that weird pickiness that people just feel is appropriate. Hands down, the worst, hospitality. People get into a bed and breakfast room. And I know hotels are as bad because I've had too many friends who've worked in hotels as well. But my particular experience is in a B&B. And they will just behave in the most grotesque ways, from questions they ask you where they go, oh, well, you're our host in a B&B, which means that we just assume we get to know everything about you, to showing up to ask you questions while they themselves are half naked, to bringing prostitutes, to doing cocaine off the tables and ruining them. My mother was never angrier than the time that someone scratched a glass top coffee table doing coke. Not because they were doing coke in the room, because they
Scratched the
scratched a table.
That's just a dick move.
Or going in the next morning, you have these people at your table, you're serving them breakfast, they're chatting away with you, they're telling you how nice their evening was, they're asking for advice for where to go later that day, you're having a great time, they leave for the morning, you go upstairs to turn their room over and do their work. Vomit everywhere. They went down to George Street last night. They threw up all over that bathroom and didn't clean it up. Vomit on the toilet, vomit on the floor, vomit in the sink, and you're standing there going, you talked to me this morning. How did you look me? I wouldn't have been able to look my host in the eyes if I had done
I would have
Goodness,
literally,
no.
I would have just given them like $500 and been like, I am so sorry.
Yes, not a word. Not a word comes out of their mouths.
Please don't
and they
feed me.
do
I don't
never-
deserve it. Goodbye.
They never acknowledge that they've done it, and no tip for any of it, of course. And you're like, I'm pretty anti-tip culture. Like, I feel everyone should be paid a living wage, and that should be the end of the day. Like,
Hear,
I'd
hear.
love to get rid of it. Thank you. But if we're gonna have tip culture, and we're gonna have tip culture for cabs and for hairdressers and for restaurant servers, I'm your bed and breakfast host. I made you breakfast. I carried your bags up to your room. I flipped your room. I cleaned your room. I gave you all your travel advice. I've even given people rides. Not a thing, because you're in there. They're in what they perceive to be your home. We didn't even live. Like, one of us would always be on site with guests, but we didn't even live in that location. And they still go, I'm in your home. I am no longer a customer. I'm no longer a patron. I'm now a guest. I'm your house guest. I'm your friend. So they treat you in this creepily personal way while still making the most insane demands and having no regard for the fact that, like, you are an individual with a life. And I think that happens in all customer service positions. It's
Yeah.
just this bizarre belief that if they frequent your locale, whether they're buying something that day or not, they have a right to just use and abuse you, your time, and your body however they want, because that's your job.
Well, something on our very, very first episode, our guest was Alana Ward, and she said something that I still think about months later. When there's like a customer interaction, they have the sense that they own you. They are paying for this service. They're good,
And
whatever.
you're in
Yes.
that bucket.
And you are part of that good that they are purchasing.
Yes, and that was the words on the tip of my tongue where they act like they own you,
Yeah.
and I was like, that seems harsh. But no, that's
But
exactly
that
it is.
I feel like people think that they're paying for like an experience, and like Alana had said, and like you're saying, like you are part of the experience, so therefore you need to kind of bend to what they would like it to look like.
Yeah.
And it's gross.
Yeah.
So, just some stats from Stats Canada. In 2020, they did a study on harassment in the workplace. And if you don't believe what we're talking about today, listen to the numbers. 53% of women working in customer service / sales said they experienced inappropriate sexual behavior from customers.
Yep.
So that is over half.
I would even argue that stat might be a little low.
There's probably a lot of people.
I would argue it's a lot higher for just the people who don't come forward
or like they say
Yeah.
that it wasn't that big of a deal.
oh
Yeah.
yeah, they grabbed my
Yeah.
dick, but like,
Or just the amount of harassment that we'll get from a man that we write off as being, oh, he's just, an
That's just
older
how he
man.
is.
He's just from a different era. He's from the Bay, whatever. And then it's not until 5-10 years have passed that you've gone, Oh, God, I can't believe someone said that to me in a public place.
Yeah. 23% of women and 23% of men said that they were sent/shown sexually explicit material.
Wow.
So like
I
dick
have a
pics.
spectacular story about
Oh,
that,
yeah.
if I can segue.
I'm not sure if I like the segue on
I was gonna
that.
say
No.
I'm nervous,
Okay,
but let's
so
go.
for context, I'll reiterate what I said before, which is I've never actually been sent a dick pic, nor have I been shown one in an inappropriate moment. However,
Hey, that's good.
Yeah,
I
I know
somewhere
it's a
with
win.
the subway the first time I was in Toronto. Dick.
Dick. I mean, I've seen a lot of dicks on the street in Toronto because I lived just past church during Pride. But hey, like that's you
different.
expect that. You're walking
Yeah, that's
down
what you
the street.
signed up
No,
for.
you're like, bring me the sparkle penis,
Was it
please.
surprising when I was walking home from a shift and forgot it was Pride weekend and walked into a crowd of dicks? A little bit.
Yeah.
Was it weird or uncomfortable? Not really. I expected it once I got there.
That's a pretty non-menacing circumstance to meet that many penises. Yes.
Exactly. Yeah.
That
You're
much
like,
glitter on a dick, it's hard to be scared.
it's really
just
hard.
impressed.
Like when I see your dick, but you're also wearing a unicorn hat, like not as worried about it.
Gorgeous.
You know? But when I worked at the bookstore, I worked at it both here in St. John's and in Toronto. So I've worked at a couple different locations for the same company. And the one that I worked for here had a coffee shop attached that was at the time the closest department to the coffee shop was tech. And so I was the one that was usually in it. And from my spot in the tech department, I would often stand and watch the coffee shop patrons because you're bored. You got nothing to do and
People
you're not
watch.
allowed to leave your section. So you people watch. And one day I was standing there and I was watching somebody and he had his tablet open in front of him and was sitting at the coffee shop table right next to one of the big windows. And I was looking at him going, you're sitting kind of weird. Like, what are you doing? What are you watching? What are you at? And I'm Snoopy. Like, I am a Snoopy bitch. So I was like, what's up? And I kind of rejigged and I could see the reflection of his tablet in the screen. Man was watching porn. Just flat out, like hard, like gangbang porn on his tablet in a coffee shop connected to a bookshop.
can't wait
And
till
I
you
would
go
like
home?
to point out, I was shocked I could see the reflection because it was daytime. It wasn't even night. Like, this wasn't 10 p.m. This was like 2 in the afternoon on a Wednesday or
Well,
something.
see, this is what I've always said. I found it creepier when guys would hit on me at the video game store than when I worked at the bar, because at the bar
Yes.
there was alcohol involved and it was nighttime, which somehow made it less creepy. But when you're doing that kind of audacious shit in broad daylight, you're like, who let you out?
Why are you here? And I worked at a video store with a porn room. Like, we had a porn room. And, like, weird enough to have to go knock on that door at 10 after 12 and be like, guys, we've been closed for 10 minutes. Can you please get out?
Can
Or
you make a
worse
selection
yet,
and go?
11 a.m. Sunday mornings. I'd have just opened the store and I'd have guys waiting outside to come in because the old men, and these were all gray hairs, came in, beeline straight to the porn room and made their rentals where their wives were at church. So they drop the wife off, come to the video store, pick up their porn for the week, and then head off before the wife gets home. Picked her up on the way. Like, it was wild. But
Now-
then,
Not
porn in a
knocking
coffee shop.
anybody for enjoying the spicy video.
Oh my God, no. And this was pre-internet days in that regard.
Yeah,
So
so
you
like
take
there
it where
was
you
a
can get
necessity
it.
if you
Yeah.
wanted a pornographic video, you would have to talk to a very awkward person behind a counter. That was the price
That
you
was
paid
just
back
what you did.
then. But like lined up at 11 a.m. Fuck you.
Waiting.
Lined up at 11 a.m. for no matter what you are serving, go to hell.
Go to
Yeah.
hell.
If
Yeah.
you are lining up for something, go fuck yourself.
Yeah. 10 out of 10. But yeah, porn in the coffee shop, middle of the afternoon in a weekday. And I was the one who had to buzz the manager because we also had the earpieces and be like, hey, I can't leave tech. Who wants to deal with this? And the number of not me's was insane. I've never had that many managers try to back out of solving a problem. Yeah.
That's management for you.
And that's management
Cowards.
for you. Yeah.
Cowards.
The last stat that I will read, 22 to 28% of women experience sexual harassment by someone of authority. 21 to 30% of men were targeted by authority figures for sexual harassment.
I feel like it
Yeah.
would be higher with men just because.
They're grosser?
No, I mean, like,
It's
I've
true.
had experience with like
They've
you
just
said,
been
like,
forgiven for longer.
Mm.
no, I just mean like experiencing it and then having a manager be like, it's fine. Like, I've seen more of it when like it was my male coworkers that were experiencing what you
100%.
experienced, where they were like,
Yeah.
yeah, no, my table of like, 5 women is getting kind of handsy. And then like luckily I didn't work places like this for very long. I've been pretty lucky that like most of my bosses have been solid about dealing with this kind of shit. But I've also seen them like basically like wind up a guy and be like, "Get back out there, slugger." And it's like, if it was a group of frat guys doing that and it was my table, you would tell them to leave.
Yeah.
Like, this
Yeah.
is still gross. Like, we are making the same pay. This is not part of what we are offering.
Nobody should feel uncomfortable at any point, but especially not in their workplace.
God, no.
And
And
nobody
especially
should be
by the
forgiven.
person who's supposed to protect you.
Yes. And I think that one of the reasons that you end up with such a high stat of men being sexually harassed or abused by female bosses is that, like I said, men have been forgiven that behavior for longer. So they will kind of just harass or abuse whatever woman they want whenever the mood hits. Women, it's like they've got to hit a point of power before they can actually get away with that behavior. And it's like,
That's not wrong.
Yeah, I think you see a lot of women in positions of power who are abusive. I mean, I've worked for some hella abusive females, and I would argue that more of my female bosses have been emotionally abusive. More of them have been like catty and aggressive. I mean, when I left my bookstore job, I was just a standard retail bitch there, but I got an assistant store manager job at the tea shop. And so I transitioned over and I handed in my notice, and it was one of my managers who was so aggressive about dress code and about being presentable and not having your shirt too low and not having your pants too high and this and that, but would yet come into work herself in a white t-shirt with a bright blue bra under it and tell us it's okay, I'm management. Looks me up and down when I told her why I was leaving and goes, "Hugh, management. Ugh." Like this.
Gross.
And like the abuse that comes from women in power is aggressive almost because it feels like they're the type of women who wish they could be that mean the whole time
So is
and
it
couldn't
like,
get away with it until they were bosses.
It's
I was
people
gonna
who
say,
peaked in high school.
it's the people
Oh,
that peaked in high school.
100%. I mean,
Absolutely.
Anybody I know out there who's a retail boss, who's a good person, please don't take this to heart. 90% of retail managers are people who peaked in high school, because where else do you get your power trip? You're not cool enough to get a better job. You're not personable enough to move up the ranks in a position where you need creativity or kindness. You get a retail job, you work through it. By the time you hit management level, you are the mall cops of, retail, essentially. It's the same attitude. Not that a mall cop can be a woman, though. That's not acceptable.
On that stat sheet, I didn't write it down, but there was an interesting stat that for women and men, both groups said about 33% of the time, or like 33% of their encounters with harassment have come strictly from male authority figures. So that means that other 67% of people who have been harassed, it is both people are harassing. Hey,
Yeah.
we got equality somewhere, I suppose.
That's like a monkey paw situation. Where
Yeah,
we're
we
like,
wish for
for
equality.
equality, and the monkey paw is like, it is done.
But I mean, that is the big thing to remember with equality across the board, is that everyone is shitty. Like,
Yeah.
as a queer neurodivergent woman, let me just say, I know a lot of queer people that suck, and it's not because they're queer. They're just shitty
They're just
people.
assholes.
I know a lot of people who are neurodiverse and have mental health issues who have never bothered working on it and therefore are toxic, evil people. And I know a shit ton of shitty women. And like, I know I feel like a bad feminist when I say it, but like, I know women that are verbally abusive. I know women that are emotionally abusive. I know women that are sexually abusive. You don't have to be gay to still like be harassing in the way that you talk about my body or the way that you define me. The encounters I've had with middle-aged women in retail are
so
honestly
gross.
just as demeaning as the encounters I've had with middle-aged men. I was working one day and had, speaking of like the boy mom element.
The boy mom element.
I had this woman come up to my cash with a pile of stuff, and I was like, "Oh, great book." And she goes, "Yes, I'm putting together a care package for my son. He's at university." And I'm like, "Oh, cool. Where is he?" She tells me. I'm like, "What's he studying?" And she tells me. I'm like, "Oh, that's really neat. How interesting." And she looks at me. She goes, "Yes, well, not that you'd know."
Ugh.
And I was
Oh,
like,
go straight to hell.
"Pardon me?" And she goes, "Well, I mean, clearly you wouldn't know." And I looked at her and I'm like, "Well, actually, I have a master's degree from the University of Edinburgh in Scotland. And so does almost every other person in this bookstore that we work in. Most of us are either academics in the midst of academia or retired from academia.
By the time your son graduates university, the job shortage will have reached critical mass.
Yes.
See you there.
Yeah, and I was like, we have more degrees in this bookstore than half the faculties at the University of Toronto. But in the same vein, I had at the time my pink hair, nose ring, whole kit and caboodle, standing there behind a cash. Woman comes up to me, not a word out of her mouth. I haven't even said hello yet. And she heaves a sigh. And I go, ugh, what are we out of that she wanted? What book came out this week on Oprah's list that we've already sold out of, And I go, oh, what's up? What can I help you with? And she just looks at me sadly and shakes her head. And I go, yeah? And she's like, why? Pardon me? Why? Why would you do that to yourself?
Oh my
Are
God.
you
Fuck
gonna find a husband?
Oh my God.
Ma'am.
I think that was what I hated the most about patio season. Because, like, my boss was pretty cool with tattoos. They didn't give a shit. They were like, just cover your boobs, cover your bum. And I was like, I love doing those things.
Those are common for everybody.
all about
I
me.
Top
think.
2 on my
Yeah.
top 10.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I'm a sweater queen. I'm
Yeah.
so good at this. But I'd be outside and I'd be like running drinks and I'd be in like a tank dress or something because it's hot as balls. And somebody would stop me and it's usually an older person. They were like, oh, why'd you do that to yourself? You're so pretty, and then you did that to yourself. And I'm like, go away, and also don't touch me, you weirdo.
Why are you talking to me right now? Same vein of, and I'm sure that you've experienced this, and unfortunately, now they can pretend they're right with you. Oh, are you just doing this till you have kids? You just working here till you get married and have kids?
You know what? Before I even had my kid, I've been lying every time somebody pulls that with me. They're like, "Oh, you're just doing this until you like settle down." I'm like, "I have 5 children."
I love it. Yeah,
Just because, like, I'm like, they can't prove that I didn't. Like,
see, I just liked watching them squirm, so I flipped it the other way and laughed horrendously and went, "Oh no, I'm never having children." And then they wouldn't know what to do with themselves because they don't know how to respond to that. And the only other time I pushed it was when someone was really aggressive, and I did the classic card of I can't have children.
I love that.
Oh, there's nothing more joyful than watching somebody who has said something inappropriate.
Traumatize them back.
Yeah, realize that they have crossed a line that they can't cross back over. And you're just like, guys, this is why we do not comment on anybody's bodies. We do not comment on anyone's tattoos or hair colors. We do not make assumptions about sexuality. And we don't ask people when they're going to have kids because these are not appropriate questions for any environment, let alone when I am
when I'm
selling
at
you
work,
something.
I literally have no choice but to be here. You are holding me hostage. Please either buy an iPad or leave.
Or get out. And it's like, then the microaggressions come in the weirdest ways as well, where this is a tangent, but it's my favorite retail story. Can I tell it?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, great. This is my all-time favorite retail story. Working in the tech department in Toronto. Now, the location that I worked at for this bookstore happened to be the CEO's favorite location to visit. So the individual who founded this company would come in a lot, and she was a very high maintenance customer.
Love that.
Yes, let's say. So anytime we knew she was coming, it was extra dress code, put on your makeup, do your
White
hair,
glove.
like excellent service, like everybody's on it. Managers were acting as if it was the Queen or King of England who was arriving. There was a day when I had 2 women in my tech department. Now, they stood out to me not because they were women buying tech, but because they did not look like they knew how to shop, let alone shop for a tech device. One was an older woman, likely in her 50s or 60s, that very specific kind of like dusty blondie color that women who are graying but don't want to be gray but also don't want to be brunette will go.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. The other was supermodel hot. Like
Weird.
tall, skinny, perfectly coiffed, everything just down to the line, a makeup impeccable. And I was like,
When they
this-
fart, it sounds like a chime.
Yes. And probably smells like gardenias. I was like, this is an interesting combo. Is this a very wealthy mother-daughter coming in to buy something for their dad? Like, what are we doing here? Who are these women? So I wander up and I go, hey, how can I help you today? And they go, oh. And as I'm walking over, before I engage, I hear them talking about headphones, wanting noise canceling. Well, we could go to this other location, but we have a gift card for here. So I'm like, okay, I know they want headphones, but I walk up and I go, what can I help you with? Well, we're looking for some noise canceling headphones. Great. At the time, the only brand that we had that was noise canceling was Am I allowed to say a brand name?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Beats. So
Beats
they
are
were
great.
Beats by Dre, and they were the only ones that were technically actually soundproof or noise canceling instead of just like, well, they go over your ears, so they block most of it out anyways. So that makes my life easy. I don't have to go through every brand. I just kick straight into the one that I know. And they're going, yes, no, you know what? We will pick them up here. I think that's an excellent deal. Let's do that. And I go, great. What color would you like? And they go, oh, black. He definitely like black. And I'm like, okay, we are buying for a man then. We're picking up on this. I'm getting it. And as I go to unlock the cupboard to pull out a pair of black noise canceling Beats, one of them goes, oh, wait, we should get gold. It will match the plane. Sorry, pardon me.
What?
Yes. Please explain yourselves. Oh, well, do you not know who we are?
I hate that line.
Also, one that I find comes more from women because, again, they get that little bit of power and it's so unusual that then it goes to their heads like that. Do you not know who we are? No, I do not. Well, I am Mr. CEO's husband, who is also a very wealthy businessman. I'm his personal assistant. And the young lady goes, and I'm Ms. CEO's personal flight attendant. And we would like the gold because they will match the private jet.
I don't want to be on this planet anymore.
Yeah.
Some people need
So-
better problems.
Yeah. So then I realize as well, though, keep in mind that they said they were buying from us because they had a gift card.
Yeah, that's what I thought. It's like, he has a plane.
You don't
He has
need
a
gift cards.
plane.
You have a plane.
You have a
He
plane.
also has his wife's CEO discount, which, by the way, was extremely high for the fact that they own the company. And they then went and said, well, hold those. And they went off to pick up other items. They got a few new big art coffee table books. They picked up stacks of napkins in both black and cream because Mr. CEO's husband does not like using a cream napkin, even though it's linen and doesn't have lint. One never knows with his black business slacks. And one must have them available for his business partners who fly with him.
I'm scared that if you keep explaining this, I'm going to have a stroke and then I'm going to be different forever.
These women bought so much stuff for this jet to do a season turnover on the decor, yet with the discount, they paid less than I would have spent on just the headphones with my staff discount.
Jesus Christ.
And the total that I rang through that day was more than the last paycheck I'd made.
Oh, good.
And I know that's not really a gendered issue, but the way that they carried themselves and the pride they had looking down at me made me just crawl. I was like, ladies, let's stick together. You work for a bitchy wealthy man.
So
and
do
I really don't
technically.
think that you should be lording that over me. I'd also like to point out exactly, we're employees to the same people. What is going on here? But yes, I sold a pair of headphones so that they would match a private jet.
I have to reevaluate my life.
Yeah.
But, oh, look at the time. Sarah has to get back to her 5 kids. Well,
Can't
that
leave
is...
them alone.
Thank you so much for tuning in today for Retails. My name's Mike Hammond,
I've been Sarah Welsh.
and Kate Stenson's been here. Kate, what are you working on? What do you do?
Well, I do a little bit of everything and nothing at all. I like to say I'm a theater cryptid. You'll never find me unless you need help or tape, at which point I will come. That said, I did my first forays into film and television last fall, so the second season of Only the Night Knows should be streaming now on Bell 5. And otherwise, just keep an eye out for local productions. You know, it's, summertime by the time this comes out?
Probably.
Yeah,
Yeah.
let's say summertime, peak theater season. So keep your eye on anything from the Hall to the Arts and Culture Center to the Majestic. I wish I was bougie enough to work at the new Jag Theater, but I have not made it there yet.
Give it time.
However, you might see me, you might not. I might be hiding. And if nothing else, you're going to get some great stuff. You're going to see what our province has to offer. And I say that that's worth it no matter what.
So whether you're in St. John's, New York, or Sydney, check out some local theater in your area this summer. Thanks for watching, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Well, that was a delightful episode, wasn't it?
What a kettle of fish.
Make sure to join us next time for another episode of Retails. I've been Mike Hammond.
I've been Sarah Welsh.
Good night, everybody. Tell us your tale. Send your own retail to retails.contact@gmail.com. Follow @retailspod on social media for episode updates and more. And make sure to fill out your customer feedback card in the comments section.
Retails is funded in part by Arts NL, with additional funding provided by the City of St. John's. Retails is a Right Good Studios production.